Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Here's a new installment of Revolutions. And if you're interested in seeing a broad range of weird and wonderful records, you're in the right place. Maybe some of those records won't be weird or wonderful to you. They might be very normal. But that's you know that's what makes us different and interesting, I guess. I haven't really been able to make very much in the way of producing videos. My life is a bit, you know, I I live between two houses. This house, obviously, and my partner's house, and we are finally moving in here together in a couple of weeks. So it's going to make life a bit more fluid, and so I'll have more time to actually dedicate to my record collection and my appreciating records. And um, but nonetheless, I have planned a number of videos, and I wanted to do a video on just record collecting in general, and I've tried a few times and it hasn't worked because my thoughts were not very concise, or for whatever reason. And I also wanted to make a series on electronic music, and you can see by my backdrop there the rabbit hole in which I've fallen into at the moment, with like early sort of electronic, well, like 70s electronic music. I want to make a few installment on synth pop, techno, Detroit techno, ambient or acid techno, just a few installments. And after this video, I'm going to make a gimme 10, I think, on the roots of synth pop, maybe something along those lines, the records that influenced synth pop in England. You can see Roxy Music and Bowie, and those kinds of things will be featuring there. But first and foremost, we have an installment of Revolutions. Um, so I want to start with some VCLT. What is known as VCLT. So basically, like presents from other people that arrived here. I keep in contact with quite a few of my friends that I met through the years in whilst making those videos. I want to give a shout out to Jack first. So my friend Jack Sundag, he's known as Jack Sunday on Instagram, I think. And we always send each other some records, and he sent me this uh, sort of a spiritual jazz record from 1982, recorded in Lebanon Valley College. That's somewhere in America, but I can't remember. New York, William Penn High School, York, Philadelphia. Philadelphia. So this is a choral ensemble. They do a really nice version of Naima by Coltrane, just to give you an idea. The band is quite sizable. You've got this the William Penn singers, so you got like vocals, and you do have a band comprising of violin, alto, and soprano sax, tenor sax, bass, trombone, piano, percussion, vibraphone, and some bamboo flute. So that makes for a really lovely kind of broad, deep sounds. Very spiritual in nature. It's kind of what you would call a spiritual jazz record carvings, and it was probably privately pressed to start with, and it's just been reissued 2023 by, I think, by a Parisian label, Libreville Recordings, which you can sort of see there. And Jack thought I might enjoy this, so he sent me a copy of that record. So thank you very much, Jack. I very much enjoyed this record. It's a lovely jazz record. I'm going to give a shout out to Anders Allen. Anders in Stockholm, as he used to be known on the vinyl community. And the thing is, Anders has he's got a great jazz label, avant-garde jazz, free jazz label called Signal and Sound Records. And I have all of Anders's release in my European jazz section in my collection there. And his latest one just came out. It's the Nicholas Pearson Sextet, and the album is called Kampen. And Anders actually plays acoustic guitar on this sextet, so it's sax, trumpet, piano, acoustic guitar, bass, and drums. It's a free jazz record, limited to 300 copies. What I love about Anders' label is his aesthetics are so, all the records have a sort of theme, a little bit like ECM, for example. I've listened to this a couple of times, and it's a free jazz record. So, if you're not into free jazz, this may not be your thing. But if you're open-minded enough, it's got beautiful little moments on this. I was, there's the first track on side two, Phil Cat, and just, got me listening. It was quite deep and intense. But I don't know this record enough at the moment to actually comment with any real depth on it. I think it's a lovely record so far. And it was recorded in August 2021 and just released. You can buy these on Anders's Bandcamp, the Signal and Sound Bandcamp. Maybe I might put a link if you want to buy one of these from him. I talk to Anders almost every day on WhatsApp. We have a chat. We've spoken to each other many times. I've never met Anders in real life, but I feel I have in a way, because we've spoken so often. And he also sent me this in the package, which is solo violin, composed by Bach, played by Nathan Milstein. Beautiful record. I mean, I'm a fan of classical solo violin. I like Yehudi Menuhin, for example. I have some of his solo violin sonatas, and it's just some of the best music ever recorded, really, in my opinion. And this is also absolutely essential. He had 2 copies of this, so he sent me one. So thank you, Anders. I really enjoy that too. Then the third package I received recently is from my friend Tamo in northern Germany. Tamo lives somewhere near Hamburg and Bremen, in the very far north of Germany, and he doesn't make videos. He puts some comments sometimes. We just mostly talk, privately, basically. And I sent him some records a little while back, and he's, sent me a package back with 5 records, which I think is really, really lovely. And he's a big fan of the label De Novely, which is, I think it's a German label, and he sent me now quite a few of them. I could practically do a give me 10 of De Novely, because I think I've got at least 10 of them. And so, for example, he sent me a copy of this wonderful ambient modern classical album by Safran Kera. So this is the artist. It's called A New Life, Part 1, Old Life. As I said, it's a very, very much a modern classical ambient record, very delicate, very gentle, perfect for evening listening. It's just sort of, it just takes you on a journey. If you like Steve Reich and Brian Eno and the like, John Hassel, all of these kinds of, stars of the lid as well comes to mind, or Tim Hecker. There's a bit of that in there. So this is a beautiful, beautiful record. from 2012. It's Saffron Kera. The Saffron Kera is a guy called Eugenio Scaria. I can't remember his name exactly. You can look it up. And it's from Sardinia in Italy. And he's just, he's got this professor look about him. He's the kind of guy who would be quite enthralling to listen to, I reckon. So I've loved this, Tamo. Thank you if you're watching this video. It's a double album, very, very nice. Another de novo lead that he sent me is this really, really lovely kind of new jazz. I would say I would classify this as new jazz, kind of like. There's a little bit of jazz funk, a little bit of ambient music, but I would more go into the new jazz territory. It's in line with things like you can hear on the British jazz scene at the moment. And the band's called, I don't know how you say this, Fog Depot. I don't know how you pronounce this. They're from Moscow, in any case. They're a band from Moscow in Russia. And the hype sticker says, Fog Depot conjoin the unconjoinable and deliver seductive brooding jazz with an electronic twist. There you go. New jazz. I've said it. Really love this record. It's kind of like a sort of descendant in a way of a Weather Report record, but with sort of more electronics in it. And I've really, really enjoyed this one, and I very highly recommend it. It's a beautiful record. Then he also sent me this really excellent, and this is not on De Novo, this is on Glitter Beat, which is a label that I really also love, Glitter Beat Records. I've got some other records on Glitter Beat, and they specialize in kind of world music. I think they're a German label. And he sent me Shirom. This is the name of the band, Shirom. And the album is called The Universe, a Universe That Roasts Blossoms for a Horse. And, if you read the hype sticker, it says Slovenian imaginary folk, a deep resonant sound world that filters global psych, mutant roots music, and a Riley-esque minimalism. And yeah, it's an avant folk record, you'd say. It's got this kind of it's rooted in folk, but it's got a very psychedelic kind of instrumentation. They're a trio from Slovenia. Interesting enough, my partner, she's also from Slovenia, and her dad is Slovenian. So that was a cool kind of connection there. But I've really enjoyed this. It's like a Slovenian Comus type of record. If you're going to make some comparisons. He also sent me this really, and I think for me this is the pick of the lot, because I'm a German language fan and I love German. And he sent me this really of the hook record, Warte mein Land, Warte, Wait my country, Wait, by Ozan Atak Kanani. And Ozan Atakanani plays the electric saz and sings, and this is a German, German Turkish kind of record. It's really interesting. It's a Middle Eastern record, like a Turkish record. The whole instrumentation is Turkish. You've got saz, you've got keyboards, you've got obviously the drums, the typical drums that you hear on Turkish records. You've got that kind of backdrop of real traditional Turkish music, but it's sang in German with Turkish accents. So it's fabulous, because they sing about, they're obviously enamored with the experience of being Turkish men in Germany. They've got really thick Turkish accents, and it really sounds, it's really beautiful. When it's like I've got this kinds of same type of records with, North African singers who sing in French but in their own accents, and it's so interesting because it shows you the diversity and the multiculturalism of countries. Really, in a way, I love this record. It's it's fantastic, and I think it's sponsored somehow by the Goethe Institute or something like that. Yeah, initiative. It's very very interesting. It's just very interesting, and it's joyful. It's got a lot of, and for me, I mean, as a German lover, learner, it's provides me with a different experience of the language. And finally, he sent me this really lovely Brazilian bossa. I'd say it's a bossa record. Seu George and Roger, who recorded direct to disc in in the Netherlands, in Haarlem, in the Netherlands, in 2019 on the Night Dreamer label. So just lovely bossa record. Just I had never heard this particular record, and I'm really glad he sent to me. I've got quite a few Seu George records, the Life Aquatic soundtrack, and others. The names now elude me, but I could pull them out and show you. But this is really really nice. This record. I would recommend that you take a listen to Seu George in general. I'm going to take a sip of this because it's going cold. I hate when people like slurp on their videos, but I hope I didn't offend you with that. I'm going to continue with. Okay, well, let's talk about some live music. I went to see probably a couple of weeks ago with my partner. We went to see Vieux Farcature at the Northcote Social Club in Melbourne, and that was just so sensational, that gig. Oh my god. Like, if you have the chance of seeing Vieux Farcature, if he's coming your way, run, get a ticket. This guy is so entertaining, he's fabulous, and his guitar playing is just like, when you listen to the records, you know he's a very skilled guitar player. When you see him in front of you, like I had a moment where I thought, well, there must be another guitar player behind the curtain playing at the same time, because the sound these three guys make. So there was obviously Vieux Farcature, his bass player and his drummer, and they make a sound that's just so idiosyncratic and lively, dynamic, in your face. I was smiling for the whole gig, and he's such a showman, and so it's like he's got such a personality. It made me re-listen to Vieux Farcature. This is the record that he released in 2022. It's called Les Racines, which means roots in English. That's really an excellent record. Beautiful, sort of, it follows in the tradition of his dad, basically his father, Ali Farcature. You've got this, you can see where he comes from. This deep desert blues, Mali tradition, which is upheld up to this day. Apparently, his dad didn't want him to become a guitar player. He said, you got to find another career, But he didn't listen to him, and he's a fabulous guitar player. And I also re-listened to Ali, which is the album that he made last year with Kruang Bin. And I think, looking at Vieux Farcature, he would have absolutely, taken them to school, those three. Because, I mean, look, Mark Spear is a good musician, no doubt. He's a good guitar player. But this guy is phenomenal. He's not just good, he's off the charts phenomenal. So I think it would have been an interesting collaboration. And I've re-listened to this, and I've really enjoyed it again. And I also, whilst I was there, I got some CDs there. I pulled out some Ali just for the, and I really recommend Red and Green. I've had this CD for 20 years maybe, and this is one of Ali's early best, Red and Green. It's a two CD set that came out on World Circuit in 2004. Yeah, so a while back. Yeah, I'd say 20 years. That's probably about right. And another band that I'm going to see tonight, Sunday, is Essendon Airport. I'm going to go and see Essendon Airport. So I've been playing those a little bit. Palimpsest and Sonic Investigations of the Trivial. And interesting enough, they're playing tonight with Anne Cessna. So Essendon Airport, and which she's on this. Essendon Airport are a minimal wave, minimal synth band from Melbourne, legendary post-punk band. They're not. I don't think they're very well known outside of. They're not even well known in Australia, for goodness' sake. I discovered Essendon Airport when I first arrived in this country 20 years ago, and I got a few post-punk compilations that came out around that time, and the band name struck with me because it's an actual airport north of the city, and it's kind of funny, sort of tongue-in-cheek thing. The main man of Essendon Airport is David Chesworth, and he's also made some very, very interesting minimal synth records. So I'm gonna go and see them tonight, and I hope it's a great gig. Once I've got some CDs in my hand, I'll show you other things I've been playing. I can't stop playing Dots and Loops at the moment. I don't know what it is. It's a record that really just sticks with me. Stereolab, the UK phenomenon, really. I mean, the amalgamation of 60s modular synths, Kingsley and Perry meets Can, which is interesting. I'm in a little bit of techno and house at the moment. This is a great house record from the UK, from, I don't know, the 90s or 2000s. I've lost track of, I think 96. This is the Black Science Orchestra, or Walter's Room. It's a great house record, UK house record from the mid 90s, which I found like for $1 or something, like cheap a while back, and I was like, give this a listen. Jean-Philippe Good, Drone. So this is a really great, again, synth record from France, from the, I want to say the 70s or the early 80s, 1980, yeah, very early 80s, and classic, again, French synth wave. Yes, The Night Fly by Donald Fagen. I quite like this record. I've got it on CD because it's just a cheap thing to have around. But the first song, notably, IGY, is just pure, yacht rock, delight. I mean, I recommend the Drones. Great Australian garage punk, blues garage punk band. And this is probably their magnum opus. Wait long by the river, and the bodies of your enemies will float by. I've seen the Drones a couple of times in my time in Australia. They're a band from Melbourne, led by Gareth Lydiard, whose solo album Strange Tourist is still one of my all-time favorites. It's such a great album. And this record is magnificent. It was just reissued recently on Wax, if that's your thing. And I was playing this Roxy Music, which is like it's not a bootleg exactly. It's a Radio Bremen in Germany, 1970. I want to say the 1974 3 recording. It's like off the mixing desk. It's not an official release at all. It's called Valentine. And what's funny there is in this box set I got this for like $5 in the local record store. I just couldn't resist. But they've tried to, you know, remake a sort of a Roxy Music sleeve there, which is kind of cool. And yeah, this was recorded in on for radio, I think Radio Bremen in Germany. Yeah, there you go. In the early 70s, and they play mostly tracks from For Your Pleasure and all that. Okay, I will continue and finish hopefully, and I'll show you a few records there that my friend Amos, who watches this video, which he will put some comments, I imagine, when he hears me talking about him. Who knows? We went. He just sent me a message a couple of weeks ago, and he said, "Oh, there's a record fair. You know, do you feel like going? You know?" And I was in a non-record buying. Like I hadn't bought any records for a month, and I thought, "Oh, all right, let's just for fun." And I bought a few records, not many, like less than 10. I think it was like 7 records in total, and I grabbed Keith Hudson, Too Expensive. It's very cheap. It's very soulful reggae. I mean, I don't think it's essential by any means. It was a blind buy, basically. It was super cheap. It's an original on Virgin. And yeah, it's a pop soul reggae offering. I don't think I would be playing this a whole lot, but I enjoyed it. I played it a couple of times. I did enjoy it. You know, this is one of these things that might, in the end, get sold, you know, and for something else. But it's a nice record nonetheless. I picked up also a very cheap copy of Glaxo Baby's 9 Months to the Disco. Glaxo Babies are a post-punk band from, I think, Bristol or Bath in England, and very much in the kind of punk funk kind of mold, not very stylistically far off bands like the Slits or the Gang of Four, tiny bit more experimental, if you will. And this is, I think, maybe their first record. And it was really super cheap, and I thought, let's just take a punt. And it's a great record. It's very uneven though. There's some tracks that are really, really amazing, and some other tracks that are just like a little bit up and down. But I quite liked it. On Amos's recommendation, I bought this Bill Laswell record, Hear No Evil, which is absolutely sensational. It's Indian, backdrop kind of, Indian music meets jazz. So you all know Bill Laswell. And, on this he's joined by a bunch of, a lot of Indian musicians, Shankar, Zakir Hussain, amongst others. And this was released in 1988. So there's an East meets West type of record. If you like those, I very, very highly recommend this. And thank you, Amos, for putting this in my hands. That was cool. Like sometimes a nice recommendation like that is great. I bought a copy of a Funkadelic record that I've always wanted to have and never bought, which is the Electric Spanking of War Babies, which the normal sleeve looks like this. That's the normal sleeve. But this reissue, which is like an 80s or like a when was this? I think it's an 80s or a 90s UK reissue, has the cover they wanted to put on it, which has got basically a giant penis on it. I hope you don't get offended. It's not, it's only a spaceship, not the real thing. So yes, but I hope I don't get banned by YouTube for it. But this is a great, and it fits with my theme of synth, and like, this is very much in this era of like funkadelic doing electronic music, which influenced massively like people like Derek May and Juan Atkins, and I'm going to talk about Detroit techno soon in one of the videos. So this record is kind of a good bridge to talk about that too. So I don't think it's an essential funkadelic record. However, you know, for what it is, it's really nice, and it was only like $20, so I'm not really losing much on this. And I picked up a record that I used to own, and I just sold years ago, and I felt the need to have it again. The Average White Band's debut, which is a funky, a 5-star funky classic from Scotland. Average, I think not. They were not average. They were more than, they were above average. This has got the banger, Pick Up the Pieces, which everybody knows probably. The debut album by the Average White Band from 1974. And what was I going to talk about? And the last thing I've got there on my feet is this Ahanya Rani record, which I respun the other day because I'm going to see her in April. So I'm excited about that because she's one of my favorite new musicians, and I'm just really, really thrilled about seeing her. So that's my episode of Revolutions for today. I hope you enjoyed. You saw something that you thought was cool, or maybe I rambled for too long. But in any case, I'm going to make a Gimme 10 now, if I've got time, on the roots of synth pop, which should be cool. Okay, take care, everyone, and all the best.